Good afternoon, I'm Chandrika. I work with University of Göttingen in the India office in Pune. It's my happy privilege to welcome Dr. Vipin Srivastava. So Professor is with University of Hyderabad in the School of Physics and Center for Neural and Cognitive Sciences. He's been educated at University of Allahabad and IIT Roorkee. He's been with the School of Physics at the University of Hyderabad since 1980 and has been the Dean of School of Physics since 1990. He founded the internationally acclaimed Center for Neural and Cognitive Sciences at University of Hyderabad. He's been a long-time visiting professor at the University of Cambridge, London, and a visiting fellow and a scientist at a number of leading institutions across the world. Some of the most important ones are the ICTP in Italy, the Nordita and the Niels Bohr Institute in Copenhagen, the EPFL at Louisiana in Switzerland, the INPE in Sao Paulo, Brazil, and University of Cape Town, South Africa. He's worked closely with the international brain research organizations and UNESCO to organize schools on computational and theoretical neuroscience in Cape Town in December 2011. So welcome, Professor. I hope. And the topic, of course, as you see, is very, very inquisitive, so hope you have a good session.
Good afternoon. I'm very pleased to be here, and I'm grateful to Chandrika personally and to the Göttingen India forum for giving me this opportunity to speak to you. You would be wondering as to what is the connection between physics and neuroscience. I propose to tell you about how neuroscience can be studied by physicists. Well, as you know, the brain is a very complex organ, and it is absolutely central to our existence. In the last 400 years or so, the neuroscientists know quite a lot about the brain. Every millimeter of the brain is known, in the sense we know that which part of the brain does what, right? So the mapping has been done quite thoroughly. However, you would be surprised to know that if you ask simple questions like how do we learn? What happens in the brain when we are learning? What physiological processes is happening when we are learning? And that's where the problem comes. The neuroscientists have not been able to answer that. All of us know that long-term memory and short-term memory are two different types. And, the long-term memory is something which is very robust. No matter what happens to the brain, you may meet with a nasty accident, lose part of the brain, but long-term memory still exists. Okay? Whereas, you tend to forget, what you had for the breakfast, but you don't forget things that happened in your childhood. So how is it that that happens? So these are the simple questions that if you ask neuroscientists, then they will not be able to answer. And the reason is that they have not had the approach to science which physicists have had. And that is where the role of physics and physicists comes into play. Now, I'll just say a word about the title. The title sounds a little exotic, that of Magnets, Memories, and the Art of Bicycle Repair. So my aim just now is to tell you how we use ideas from physics to understand how the brain functions. Okay? And so magnets and memories, magnets, I'll tell you about some magnetic system, which is with the ideas from where are being used. Memories, of course, the biological memory, that the memory that we have. And the art of bicycle repair. Now, what has art of bicycle repair got to do here? Well, as you know, the bicycle repair is not something very highly technical. You can improvise simple equipment to repair a bicycle, to understand how certain problems are happening in the bicycle and how to repair it, right? So it is in the same sense that I would like to tell you that we can use ideas from physics and modify them, improvise upon them a little bit, and use them to understand brain functions, right? So it is in that sense that an analogy with the bicycle repair, the art of bicycle repair comes in. So first of all, I'll show you how ideas from spin glass can be useful to understand, some basic ideas about memory. Spin glass is a dilute magnetic alloy, right? So what is a dilute magnetic alloy? You know that solids consist of atoms, right? And the atoms are arranged on different types of lattices, right? So here is a lattice, and these are the atoms. Now the atoms can be non-magnetic as well as magnetic, because in the atoms, the electrons are moving about the nucleus, and electrons being charged particles, when they move, they give rise to magnetic field. But then the electrons are all moving in orbits which are oriented randomly. So each orbit is producing a magnetic field, but then the net magnetic field can cancel out. So therefore, most of the atoms are non-magnetic. But some of the atoms where this cancellation is not exact, there's some net magnetic moment, right, as we call it. So those atoms can be viewed as tiny magnets, very, very tiny atomic magnets. So spin glass is a dilute magnet in which the majority of the atoms are non-magnetic, but very few atoms, let's say about 5 to 10% atoms are magnetic. And these are shown by these arrows. So these show the magnetic moments on these atoms. So this is one capability that the brain always had. The evolution has bestowed upon us the capability of Fourier transformations. So it could well be that the mathematical operations are already there in the nature. We are sort of discovering it.